All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Veronica Parker from the AEBG Technical Assistance Project. Today's webinar is AEBG Data Submission Guidelines for Quarter 2 with Patty Long from CASAS. For all of you who have joined us, if you have any technical difficulties, please be sure to type them in the chat pod and we'll have someone troubleshoot them for you. In addition, if you have any questions, please be sure to post those in the chat pod. Throughout the webinar, we will be addressing your questions, so please post them there. This webinar is being recorded and it will be available on the AEBG website following this presentation. When you enter the room, you want to make sure that you press the white or green sound icon at the top of the window. This will provide sound for you. If you're unable to hear me at this time, please be sure to type in the chat pod and we will help you. So if you use the dial only, if you are using Wi-Fi, a Wi-Fi connection and the audio is breaking up, your connection may be going in and out. But if you're using a landline or a cell phone and the audio is breaking up, please be sure to dial back in. For audio only, please be sure to use the 855 number, and the passcode is also provided for you under important information. If you're hearing an echo at this time, please be sure to check that you are not signed in more than once. If there is a number 2 next to your name, that's an indication that you are signed in twice. You will need to sign out of Adobe Connect and then sign back in. Then you want to click the Listen Only option. If you would like to increase your screen to full size or full screen, you can do so by pressing the full screen icon up top. It's next to the Stop Sharing button. It is the 4 outward facing arrows that will provide a full screen for you. But just know, if you do go to full screen, you will not be able to see or contribute to the chat pod. In order to get back to the normal size screen and be able to see and contribute to the chat pod, you'll have to select the full screen icon up top again, and this time it will be the 4 arrows pointing inward. Attendance is taken during the webinars, so if you are in a room with multiple people, please be sure to type the names of all individuals in the chat pod so we're able to check off your attendance. For support requests, please be sure to contact AEBG TAP. We can be reached via the support request button on the AEBG website. You can email us directly at tap@aebg.org, or you can give us a telephone call. The telephone number is 888-827-2324. Immediately following this presentation, please be sure to fill out our online evaluation. It is a requirement that we evaluate all of our professional development and technical assistance activities, and it's also a great way for us to understand how we are doing with these webinars and make improvements as necessary. So please be sure to fill out the evaluation as soon as this presentation is over. Also, if you would like to see the complete list of our upcoming webinars, please be sure to log on to the AEBG website and under Events, select AEBG Webinars. Now I will turn it over to Patty Long, who will kick us off with the AEBG Data Submission Guidelines webinar. Patty?
Thank you, Veronica. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. Again, this is for data submission guidelines. This is for all of your data from July 1st to December 31st. And we're going to go over what needs to be there and how you need to submit it. So again, we're focusing on that second quarter data that we want everything from July 1st. And all you have to do is generate an AEBG data integrity report and then email it to us at CASAS. And I'll give you the address in just a minute. You don't need to actually submit data since we already have it on our servers. Okay, so let's talk about what's in the data. For AEBG, we need an entry record, and yes, you need all the demographics completed. The bottom part of the entry record is the class enrollment, program enrollment, but we'll be talking about students that are just getting services received and not enrolling in a class in just a minute. For all your ESL, ABE, and ASE students, you need a pre-test and a post-test. If your students haven't been in class long enough, because it's only the second quarter, the end of the second quarter, then they don't need a post-test yet, but they certainly need one by the end of the fiscal year. You need to have an update record. You need to show what outcomes they've had that aren't addressed through pre and post testing, and we'll go over a little bit of that. And attendance hours. All your attendance hours for those students from July 1st to December 31st need to be included in your data. Okay, so on the entry record, if they're in one of the 7 program areas, you absolutely need name and address, their demographics, right? Gender, date of birth, their educational background. You need labor force status, any barriers to employment. You need the date of entry into the class and program, and any special programs that might apply. Now, if you've got students that you're serving but who aren't going to class, and this could be your students that come to orientation, take the pretest, and never show up again. Or this could be the students that are coming to you for information about your program, what are the different options, what things do you offer, and any counseling they might be getting. For those students, you need to collect name and address and their demographics. Again, date of birth, gender, race, ethnicity, labor force status, any barriers to employment, the date that services were received, rather than the date of entry into class. It's the date of services received. And then on the update record side, you go ahead and complete the services that they received, which is this little box. Was it supportive services, training services, or transition services? And I'm expecting questions about that. See any yet? So again, pre and post tests required for ABE, ASE, and ESL, not required for any of the other program areas. Assessments approved by the NRS for AEBG is CASAS, and there are other approved tests that if you go to the AEBG website, it will direct you to the National Reporting System, I think, website and give you that list of approved tests and the contact information for them. Update record is needed for students that have been in your program for a quarter or 2 quarters or still attending, and you absolutely need to complete one when a student leaves your program. But again, you want to do these multiple times throughout the year, like 3 or 4 times. And you want to make sure that you're marking everything that they've done, again, that isn't captured on the pre and post tests that you give. So we want the date of the update, the class ID number, your instructional program, and any services received. So if they aren't enrolled in classes, just like we said on that previous slide, let me go back on that previous slide. Again, just for the update record part, you just need this box filled out on their entry record on the other side, on their name and ID. Oops. Learner results, you need this for the students that have been participated in your classes. And again, mark any or all that apply. Try to keep away from the choice of other learning outcome rather than specific outcomes that they've got, because it really means nothing in the data other than other unknown. Oh, and we've got a couple of questions. Let's see. The link is actually not working. I checked. Okay, so for high school equivalency or high school diploma students, does passing the TE test or getting diploma count as a post-test? Let's see. Let me think about that for a minute, Debbie. Well, you don't pass in CASAS tests. It's merely a monitoring test, right? Shows where the student started, where the student ended up. There is no passing on it. But, oh, I know what you're talking about. So if students for AEBG, and for my WIOA people, ignore this. For my AEBG people, if your students in your high school diploma programs or high school equivalency pre-test with a 236, you don't have to post-test them because there is no other level for them to go to. In WIOA Title II, there is another level to go to, so you ignore that. But 236 is the magic number where you don't have to post-test. And it's not a 236 on any post-test. It absolutely has to be their score on their pre-test, 236 or above. Is that clear? So that will count as a gain with their diploma. No, not 236 on the appraisal, 236 on the pre-test. And then Jackie asked, where is the services received on TOPS Pro? It's on the update record. So you click the little box at the top that says entry update record, click update record, and it'll be there. Okay, good questions. Good questions. Thank you. Learner results. Update record completed if your student has left your program, yes. And otherwise, update records throughout the year for everybody. Yeah, the update record does look different on TOPS Enterprise because there's a lot more room available in TOPS Enterprise than there is in on those entry update paper records. Yes, it is. Box number 8 is very different. Oop. I've got to watch what I'm clicking. Okay. And Adeline, we are coming out with some more information about that box 8. I talked to Jay yesterday, and I actually stumped him. It was nice. We'll be coming out with some more information and more clarification on that box 8, and that's coming from the Chancellor's office. All right, attendance hours all need to be in TOPS Enterprise for this data submission. So all attendance hours from July 1st to December 31st have to be included in your data. So if you're importing from a third-party attendance system like ASAP, Schoolhouse, AIM, or Banner, they do all read into TOPS Enterprise. You just have to export your files as a CSV file, save the files on your desktop, and then in TE, go to the import wizard under tools, and it will move your data. Just follow the steps. Oh, I see why this one is a little bit out of order. I'm so sorry. This is relatively new information. Should have been probably a slide ahead of this. Progress toward diploma to talk about gain. So Adeline, this could be quite right up your alley too. Not TE test. It is supposed to be passing. Yes, thank you, Debbie. So there's this little new hiccup with high school diploma, and it's not necessarily a hiccup. It's advantageous to you. So participants who improved from ASE low to ASE high, and this could be not necessarily registered on a test, but how they're performing in your classroom, or how many credits they've earned toward your high school diploma at your agency or your district. And they've moved from 9th to 10th grade level to 11th to 12th grade level. And you can mark that in TE, mark the instructional program as high school diploma, change the instructional level, which presumably on the entry record was ASE low. Now you're going to move it to ASE high. Or if they were in ABE at the entry record, and once you do the update, you've moved them up to ASE low. That's what you want to do too. And again, it can be through the pretest, but this is mostly self-reporting by the teacher. If it's ASE low, the learner achieves an outcome by marking self-reported ASE high or earning their high school diploma, one or the other. If they're ASE high and you do this, the learner achieves an outcome by marking high school diploma. And by marking it, that means that the teacher is marking it, not the student is marking it. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions on that? Because that is relatively new information. All right, so TOPS Enterprise will generate a learner outcome for those students. You don't have to mark anything actually in the learner results unless they got their high school diploma. But moving them from ASE low to ASE high at an instructional level will trigger that information. Okay, did you say a student who goes from ABE to GED, which is adult secondary level, would qualify for this? Yes, yeah. So regardless of how they progressed on the post-test, if they achieved credits, it will advance them to ASE high if they achieve enough credits, right? But it's different for every district because y'all calculate your credits differently. You have your total amount. So make sure that if you're moving them from the 9th, 10th grade level to the 11th, 12th grade level. Okay, good. And then Dana writes, even though ABE is still considered up to grade 8. Well, this is after ABE level. So you wouldn't move them from ABE to ASE high, but you could move them from ABE to ASE low, wherever they're working at your agency now. Correct. Yeah. Thanks, Debbie. Okay. So now we have to segue back to that importing your data. Again, your attendance data. If anybody's having difficulty importing their attendance data from a third-party attendance system, you can always call tech support and we'll be more than happy to help you walk you through the steps. If you're not using an attendance system, you can just add in your cumulative hours through the update record on TOPS Enterprise. And remember, when you're doing these update records, you only have to complete the information that you want to. So you'd put in the record date, the date that you're putting in the attendance, do the attendance, save and close. You don't have to fill in all this other stuff. You can also take attendance directly in TOPS Enterprise and you can give your teachers access. They'll only have access to their classes and their students. You can limit what kind of access they can have so that maybe they can only add attendance hours, they can only read reports and print reports. They can't change any student data, whatever you'd like them to have. But all you have to do is you click the little pencil icon to get it started. You click the day that you're doing the attendance, and then it fills in everybody, and you just unclick the people that were absent. So it makes it really easy to use. I did have a couple of teachers ask, so I've got to go in there every day and do it? Well, no. I mean, if you want to take attendance on paper pencil and then put it into TOPS Pro once a week, that's fine. That's fine. That's all good. but we do need to have all of the attendance hours in for each quarter. All right, so let's talk about making sure our data is complete and looks the best that it possibly can. Remember that you never delete records in TOPS Enterprise. And so for the AEBG Data Integrity Report, we go to State Reports, California, and then AEBG Data Integrity. You'll have your option in TOPS Pro to fix your dates so that you can have it just from the beginning of this fiscal year to the end of quarter 2. You want to make sure that all of your program areas for AEBG are marked. Okay, and with this AEBG DIR, there's summary information at the top that's very different from the WIOA Title II DIR. And so the very top, students in the services section, these are all of your students that you've got enrolled, whether they're in the program or whether they're just enrolled because they received services. And then it breaks down the students who were not enrolled in one of the 7 AEBG programs. These are students who either are missing an enrollment in a program if they stayed, or they just received support services. You can drill down on these numbers to see who these students are, double check your data. And then the next subset are these items where it says that marked high school diploma, high school equivalency outcome on an update record, but the student was never enrolled in an AEBG program. And again, our Rolling Hills fake database data is kind of crummy. Marked post-secondary outcome for AEBG, but did not have an AEBG program, right? And they're not going to have an outcome necessarily if they just received support services. Marked employment outcome, but did not have an AEBG program, so you'd want to go and check on those students and see why they aren't enrolled in AEBG. Marked wages outcome, marked transition outcome, but was never enrolled in class. So these are the students that go on the main report, those who were enrolled in one of the 7 AEBG programs. You want to make sure that if these students really did have these outcomes and it wasn't marked erroneously that you'd need to fix, that you make sure that they get enrolled in AEBG so that you can claim the outcome. So just as a brief review, items 1 through 9 are required elements. This is all the demographic information, whether they had a pre and a post test, and labor force status and all of that. Because if any of that information is missing, it could affect your ability to be able to claim outcomes on those students. Items under 10 to 25B reflect totals in your database. It's a snapshot of what's showing up in your database. But it can include items that may be missing key information. So you want to make sure you do review that. You can always go over to the total number here and left click on it to be able to have different choices of how to see that information included there, or you can just right click it for a list. And you can edit student information right from this data integrity report. So what's next? You have all your data in TOPS Pro, you have all your attendance in TOPS Pro, you've looked at your DIR and cleaned up what you could, you've added any missing data or corrected items, and now all you need to do is generate a new AEBG DIR for July 1st through December 31st. export it as a PDF. There'll be a button right up at the top that says export, and then just attach it to an email and send it to aebg@casas.org. Oh, and then you need to send it to your designated consortium data manager too. They want to see it too. Are there any questions at all about anything? Don't tell me I got you out of here in less than half an hour. Again, give us a call at 1-800-255-1036. I think extension 3 is tech support. You can always email us at tech support. Please don't wait for the due date to call us for help, because everybody else is calling us for help. The sooner you get it going, you can come in and then we can help you out with it. And then Jackie put in, we did this for Q1. Yes, you did. The next report is for July through December. Yes, second quarter. But remember, you've got to include all of your data from the beginning of the fiscal year to the end of the second quarter so that your records look complete. If you cut it off and just do it from October to December 31st, your data is going to look really incomplete because it's going to ignore all these other records that you did before then. At the summit, there are a few data workshops. Will CASAS be going over some of the details mentioned in this webinar? Yes, Jay Wright will be doing a presentation there. And I'll be at Consortium Summit or Consortium presentation on Tuesday there. So I'm just looking at questions. Oh, tons of people are typing. Okay. You're welcome. You know, if you've got any other questions too, you can always email me at plong for Patty Long @casas.org, and I'll get back to you probably this weekend because I have things to do. Where do we upload students update? Upload students update. Well, if you're putting it in TOPS Enterprise, you don't need to upload it anywhere. It's already goes to our servers. Do we need to report if students are in the process of completing a degree or certificate? No, Kelsey, you only need to report when they're, you can say that they're making progress, but you really only need to report when they've completed the degree or the certificate.
I'm happy to do either. If there are no more questions, yes, we could definitely
And
call
I'm
it.
not seeing any more
Again, I
questions
said this
come
webinar will
through.
be recorded on the
Veronica, you want to
will
call
be
it?
posted on the AEBG website and
Or do you want to
available
wait a few more minutes?
by the end of today. So if you need to go back and listen to the webinar, you are able to do so, as well as the PowerPoint. I see someone type in a question. Okay.
Oh, you know what? Let me just say right here that Neil Kelly sent me an email this morning. He wanted me to make sure to go over with you. Good Lord, I forgot. That after reviewing Q1 data from AEBG agencies and consortia, the data wasn't great. A lot of agencies are not collecting demographics on their students, aren't collecting attendance hours on their students, and aren't reporting anybody that had just services received. So you really want to make sure that you're reporting on all of your students. And if you've got any questions about that, you can always email me too. And again, I'm seeing stuff coming through. Thank you, Veronica. Um, so the question about do attendance hours need to be exported on a monthly basis for WIOA Title II, yes. For AEBG, you can come up with your own schedule, but they have to be in before the end of the quarter so that it comes in with the data.
All right, great, Patty. Thank you so much for
Yep.
today's webinar, and thank you
Any other
everyone for
questions from anybody?
participating. We look forward to seeing everyone at either the
Thank you
summit or
so
the
much
next
for coming,
webinar.
and I'm going to let
After I
Veronica
close this
lead
webinar,
us
an
out.
evaluation will appear on your screen. Please take about a minute or two to fill out this evaluation. It's our way of identifying any improvements that are needed with our webinars, or if you have any professional development or technical assistance needs, we are able to address those from the webinar as well. Again, we thank you so much for your time and participation. We'll see you either at the summit or the next webinar, and everyone have a great weekend. Thank you.